Hey, evil, Hunter here. What makes something annoying? Why do certain sounds, voices, and behaviors instantly make our brains want to close the tab or leave the room? Is annoyance simply a matter of personal taste? After all, what one person finds unbearable, another might find entertaining. This would suggest that annoyance is purely subjective. Or is it? Because if annoyance were completely subjective, we wouldn't expect people to constantly react the same way to sounds, like screeching metal, alarms, or someone shouting into a microphone at 200% enthusiasm. And yet we do, which raises an interesting possibility. What if some things are irritating for very real, very measurable reasons, rooted in psychology, biology, and the way our brains have evolved to process sound and behavior? Because if annoyance can be studied, if irritation can be analyzed, then that leads us to a fascinating possibility. Maybe we can scientifically investigate why certain people or YouTube channels feel usually irritating. Which brings us to today's case study. A subject whose behavior sits perfectly at the intersection of psychoacoustics, evolutionary psychology, algorithmic entertainment, and Minecraft-related enthusiasm of potentially catastrophic proportions. The subject is my friend, Hunter, otherwise known as the Game Hunter, TGH, and sometimes the Game Bitch. Our focus is not merely Hunter as a person, no, it's our focus is the phenomenon, the socio-technical anomaly that is Hunter's Dream Clone YouTube channel. Now, some of you may initially dismiss this investigation as trivial. You may believe that analyzing a Minecraft YouTube channel is beneath the dignity of serious research. However, I ask you to remember that science has studied such things as the aerodynamics of cow flatulence, the psychology of why people enjoy popping a bubble wrap, and the fluid dynamics involved in pouring of ketchup. Therefore, by comparison, studying Hunter's YouTube channel is not merely appropriate, it is necessary for the preservation of global humanity. Now, Section 1, Establishing the Research Problem. To begin, let us clearly define the central research question. Why is Hunter's Dream Clone channel so profoundly irritating? This question cannot be answered through a simple observation alone. It requires an integrated analysis across multiple domains of modern scientific thought. The three domains include psychoacoustics, the scientific study of how humans perceive sound; evolutionary psychology, the study of how our instincts respond to voices and behavior; digital cultural replication, how the internet content spreads and mutates; cognitive overload theory, how the brain reacts to constant stimulation; and finally, the emerging interdisciplinary field of YouTubeological irritational studies. Hunter's channel exists precisely at the intersection of all five of these fields. It is, in essence, the perfect storm of auditory chaos, algorithmic imitation, and Minecraft-related enthusiasm of catastrophic magnitude.
Section 2. The Psychoacoustic Catastrophe. Now, we must begin with the most obvious variable, Hunter's voice. Now, before Hunter interrupts this section with a defensive statement, let me clearly clarify something. This is not a personal attack, it's simply just the science in investigating why Hunter's voice and YouTube channel is so annoying. The human auditory system evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to detect sound that might signal danger. Among these sounds are high-frequency alarms, screeching metal, distressed animals, and apparently Hunter recording a Minecraft video. Research in psychoacoustics has repeatedly demonstrated that high-frequency sounds are perceived as significantly more irritating than lower-frequency sounds. The reason for this lies deep within our neurological architecture. High-pitched sounds activate the brain's alertness systems. They stimulate the amygdala and other regions responsible for detecting threats. They are intentionally annoying. They are engineered to force your brain to pay attention, which leads us to an uncomfortable realization. Hunter's voice, when excited during gameplay, naturally occupies a frequency band remarkably similar to those used by medicine, modern voices. In other words, when dopamine shouting and excitement during a Minecraft trade sequence, the human brain cannot immediately distinguish whether it is hearing A, a YouTube video, or B, a small pixel plant experiencing a catastrophic failure.
Section 3. Evolutionary voice preferences. Phycology does not explain the full magnitude of this phenomenon. Human beings have evolved a very specific subconscious preference regarding voices. Across multiple cultures and societies, it is shown that deeper male voices generally perceived as more trustworthy, calm, and authoritarian. Lower voice frequencies signal confidence and stability. Higher frequencies, while perfectly natural and okay in society, are often interpreted as more frantic or exciting. When excitement increases, pitch tends to rise. Now this creates an evolutionary signal suggesting agency or distress. Now imagine what happens when someone is both highly excited, speaking rapidly, and attempting to narrate Minecraft parkour at maximum enthusiasm. The result is what researchers might classify as acoustic over-enthusiasm syndrome. Hunter demonstrates this syndrome with remarkable consistency. A typical Hunter sentence might sound something like, Guys, this is the quietest thing ever. From a linguistic standpoint, this sentence contains three essential components. Immediate repetition of the word guys, a sudden increase in vocal intensity, and the word literally being used in a context where it is almost certainly not literal. These components combine to form what experts might call maximum algorithmic engagement speech. Section 4. The Dream Clone Replication Phenomenon. Now, turn to the second major variable in this investigation, content replication. The internet operates under a principle known as mimetic propagation. When one creator becomes extremely successful, their style begins to spread across the platform. Other creators observe the formula and attempt to replicate it. This is how we ended up with thousands of reaction channels, thousands of podcasts with identical microphones and neon lights, and approximately several billion Minecraft challenge videos. One of the most influential figures in this ecosystem is the Minecraft creator known as Dream. Dream's content formula includes several recognizable elements: high stakes gameplay, fast paced and aggressive editing, exaggerated reactions to unexpected events, and a general sense that every moment is the most dramatic moment in human history. The game Hunter, observing this formula, has made a bold and ambiguous decision. He decided to replicate it. Now, imitation is often considered a form of flattery. However, on the internet it can produce a phenomenon known as the derivative content amplification. Imagine photocopying a document, then photocopying it again, and again, and again. After several times it begins to degrade, Edges blur, it fades, and the details have vanished. Hunter's channel can currently edit somewhere around the 6th or 7th photocopy generation of the Dream format. Section 5. Another crucial factor is what researchers refer to as the algorithmic persona drift. When an individual first begins creating content online, they behave normally. They speak at a regular pace, they react naturally, and they behave like ordinary people. However, the YouTube algorithm rewards high engagement, which often correlates to heightened emotion. Creators gradually begin adjusting their behavior to match what performs well. They talk louder, they react bigger, and they edit faster. Eventually, something remarkable happens. The creator's natural personality begins to shift. They evolve from being a normal human being into something resembling an entertainment engine optimized for attention retention. Oof, tongue twister there. Hunter appears to currently reside in what we call a Stage 3 algorithmic mutation. Symptoms include increased volume during routine events, exaggerated shock in response to a predictable gameplay outcome, frequent use of this phrase such as, "This is insane." Section 6. Cognitive overload and viewer fatigue. Human brains are not designed to handle such constant high-intensity simulation. Psychological research demonstrates that when the brain experiences continuous excitement without pause, it begins to normalize that excitement. This is known as hedonic adaptation. If every moment is presented as extraordinary, eventually nothing feels extraordinary. Dream-style editing often includes cut, zoom, boom, spike, and another cut. Within a single minute, the viewer may experience more visual and auditory stimulation than a 19th century scientist discovering electricity for the first time. The game Hunter's editing style embraces this principle wholeheartedly. The result is a viewing experience that can feel less like watching a video and more like being gently struck in the brain with a small hammer made of chunk cuts. Over time, the brain responds to this barrage of stimulation with a single ancient neurological response. Please stop yelling. Section 7. Again, Hunter Irritation Index. At this point it becomes useful to introduce a quantitative measurement. I call this metric the Hunter Irritation Index, or HII. Coined that one, mate. Sorry, you're not going to be able to have it. The formula is relatively straightforward. HII equals pitch times volume times reactionary frequency over originality. Now, let us examine Hunter's variables. Pitch, big. Volume, bigger. And frequency, consistently big. Originality, while admirable in spirit, is somewhat influenced by dream-style content. Now, I will give him a little bit of a big bonus, big plus, because some of his stuff I haven't seen as much. Maybe that's because some of the stuff isn't meant to be seen. Anyway, when we input these variables into the equation, we obtain a value so large that the mathematicians are currently debating whether to classify it as a new universal constant. Like the speed of light. Section 8. The thumbnail catastrophe. Of course, no analysis of a Dream Client YouTube channel would be complete without addressing the visual component, the thumbnail. Modern YouTube thumbnails are not designed for subtlety. They are designed for maximum attention capture. This often includes exaggerated facial expressions, arrows pointing at objects, red circles around things that were previously obvious. Getting bored reading this, bro. That's how boring it is. Sorry. And the text written in large fonts enough to large enough to be seen from space. It's like the Great Wall of China. Hunter has embraced this tradition with enthusiasm. If a neutral observer were to examine these thumbnails without context, they might reasonably assume the Hunter experiences the following emotions simultaneously: shock, confusion, existential terror, and a sudden discovery of diamonds in life.
Section 9. Sociological impact. Hunter represents a broader cultural archetype. This archetype is known as the aspiring algorithmic entertainer. This individual believes success on the internet can be achieved through 3 key ingredients: Minecraft, loudness, and editing. While this formula occasionally works, it also creates an ecosystem where every creator is competing to be louder, faster, and more exaggerated. This result is what sociologists call the Great YouTube Volume Arms Race. Section 10. Here lies the true irony of the Hunter phenomenon. Hunter is not annoying because he wants to be annoying. He is annoying because he is trying very, very hard to be entertaining. This creates a fascinating paradox. The more intensely he attempts to replicate the excitement of a dream-style video, the more exaggerated his reactions become. And the more exaggerated those reactions become, the more his friends feel compelled to conduct a final, elaborate, academic lecture analyzing his annoyance. Final conclusion. After examining the evidence of the psychoacoustics, the psychology, and the algorithmic culture, we can finally answer our research question. Why is Hunter's Dream Clone channel so annoying? The answer is simple. It's a result of high-frequency vocal projection, algorithmic-induced hyper-excitement, derivative content replication, and approximately 12 metric tons of Minecraft enthusiasm. Just DTM, bro. Hunter has perhaps unknowingly created a perfect interdisciplinary case study on auditory irritation. But let us end on a hopeful note, because beneath the screaming, beneath the edit cuts, yeah, nah, he's not my friend, sorry. See ya, guys. He's trying to make me say he's my friend. He's not my friend. Say Ebzuri, bro. Say Ebzuri.